have a very serious but an informative topic today. It's about Alzheimer's disease. And I wanted to share with you before we introduce our special guest this morning. Alzheimer kills more individuals than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. It says every 66 seconds that someone is diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And also 1 in 3 seniors die with Alzheimer's. And here's something else. It is the most common form of dementia. And this terminal progressive brain disorder has no known cause or cure, and more than 5 million Americans have Alzheimer's disease. So this is September, as in the Alzheimer Awareness Month. Our special guest at the round table this morning is Lizzy Orf. Lizzy is the community or communications outreach coordinator for Western Oklahoma, dealing with Alzheimer. Lizzy, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
What do you think of all these bright lights?
Oh,
Did you
I love them.
Well, thanks for being here. These statistics that I've kind of shared with our viewing audience, 1 in 3 and every 66 seconds, that really raised awareness that Alzheimer is something else. Our first question, Lizzy, is what is the difference between Alzheimer's disease and dementia?
That's a great question. People ask me that question all the time. A lot of people don't know what the difference is between dementia and Alzheimer's.
Because it seems like it's the same.
Exactly. And so whenever you think of dementia, you want to think of it as an umbrella term. Just like there's cancer, there are different types of cancers. Okay. Well, there's dementia, and there are different types of dementia. And Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia, and it makes up 60 to 80% of cases of dementia.
And what would be another? If Alzheimer's is one under that umbrella, what would be another disease?
Parkinson's,
Lewy
body.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wow. Thank you, Lizzy. Thank you. First of all, thank you for joining us this morning. I know you traveled so far,
yes.
And this is such an important topic, so I just really want to, thank you for your time. I do have 2 questions in one, so I'll go with the first one. What are the stages of Alzheimer's disease?
Okay, so there's the early stage, middle stage, and late stage. So in the early stage, somebody with the early stages of Alzheimer's, they'll be able to drive. Sometimes they can notice the signs in themselves. Usually the people that identify the signs are their loved ones or their friends or their family. And then there's the middle stage. They start showing kind of behaviors in this stage. They get easily upset. They forget to bathe and take showers. And then there's the late stage. So that's when they need around-the-clock care. They lose long-term and short-term memory, and it's hard for them to communicate. They might just use simple words or no words at all.
Okay. So is this disease limited to certain age group?
So it's not. They say that the earliest person diagnosed with Alzheimer's was 26 years old. After the age of 65, your chances of developing Alzheimer's doubles every 5 years. And then after the age of 85, there's a 50% chance that you might develop Alzheimer's disease.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Are there, Lizzy, genetic risk factors for developing this disease?
So there are 2 genes scientists have came up with. There's the risk gene and the deterministic gene. So if you have the risk gene, you might develop Alzheimer's. But if you have the deterministic gene, then you are going to develop Alzheimer's.
So how do I know if I have one of these or both?
You can go get tested.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Is that something that you all recommend, or is that a test that takes place when you're 65, 75, 85? Or?
Well, we do not. I mean, I personally do not recommend, but you can go get it done. It's very expensive. Okay. But if you find out that you have it, I feel like that you're going to worry about it the rest of your life and just be worried.
Let's take this question a step further with genetic risk. If mom has Alzheimer's, well, does the son and daughter, are they in line then, or does it skip generations, or?
Well,
I mean,
so they say that if you have a sister, mother, father, brother, or sister that has Alzheimer's disease, you are more likely to develop the disease in the future, but it is not guaranteed. We see people that everybody in their family has it, and then there's always that, or there's not always, but there's that one person that does not develop Alzheimer's disease. So it's hard to say if you will get it for sure if your mom or your dad has it, but there is a more of a likely chance of you developing Alzheimer's if it's in your family.
Yeah, very good. September is Awareness or Alzheimer Awareness Month, and our special guest, again, is Lizzy Orf, and Lizzy is the Communications Outreach Coordinator for Western Oklahoma. She spends time in Enid, Oklahoma, and also in Lawton, so you have, and other places in Western Oklahoma. So we're certainly glad that she's with us here on Good Morning Enid.
Yes. How is this disease diagnosed?
Well, whenever you get diagnosed, you want to go to your primary care physician and let them know what you're seeing. And then they might do a mini mental exam where they ask you the 3 questions before, remember them later. They might have you draw a clock. Then they want to rule out everything else that it could possibly be that's causing you to forget things. And then the last thing they will do is diagnose you with Alzheimer's. So they want to rule out everything else before they diagnose you with Alzheimer's. So you can go get a blood or a brain scan, do the mini mental exams, and that's the other ways.
Okay.
So Lizzy, earlier, excuse me, you talked about the 3 different phases or stages of the disease. Is there a rule or some guidelines to say if you're in the middle stage, it's time to test, or early stages? I mean, what's the recommendation from the Alzheimer's Association?
Whenever you first notice
Okay.
signs, it's important for you to go get
Okay.
go to the doctor, because it's important, because you want to get all of your care planning in order, all of your finances in order. You want your caregivers to be prepared, and you want your caregivers to understand how to care for you whenever you are having Alzheimer's. And it's important for them to know what you would want whenever you are not capable of telling them later on in the disease.
So this may be a silly question, but just kind of to follow up on what he asked, we all forget things sometimes.
Yes.
So at what point is it something to be concerned of?
Whenever you start putting your purse in the refrigerator, or you look at your loved one and you're not sure who that loved one is, you know that you love that person, but you're not sure if that's your wife or your husband or your mother. Whenever you can't continue on having conversations with people, whenever you're forgetting to bathe.
Okay.
Yes.
In the outset of our interview, Lizzy, I mentioned that Alzheimer's disease, the most common form of dementia, terminal progressive brain disorder, no known cause or cure. My question is, what treatment is available for Alzheimer? So maybe there is assistance, but since there is no cure, I guess you just don't go to the store, pull it off the shelf, and you have that cure. So what do loved ones or family members do for treatment, for help?
Well, it's important for them to get help. A lot of caregivers, they forget to take care of themselves. So it's important for them to get help from the Alzheimer's Association or anybody that needs help. Can you ask me that question again?
Well, since there is no known cure, what kind of, let's just say I have a grandparent or something that has Alzheimer's. What kind of treatment or what do I do as a sibling, if you will, to help grandma out?
There is no cure, correct.
Besides just loving on them.
It's important to live in their reality. There's no way to prevent, slow, or cure it. You
Okay.
can't change their mind. You can't prove them wrong. You can't say, remember, Mom, we went there. Remember, you can't go there. It's just live in the reality is what's most important. That's what you can do.
And it probably could be frustrating a little bit for the family members, saying, don't you remember that we went there last week? Or don't you remember the keys always go here?
Yes.
I see. So, how about resources?
Yes. Are there any resources that you can share with us for any caregivers that are out there?
Yes. So at the Alzheimer's Association, we have support groups here in Enid. We have them all over Oklahoma. We also offer care consultations. So some people don't know what Alzheimer's is, so we can educate you about the disease, the progression of the disease, what you need to get in order before your loved one is too far in the disease and they can't tell you what they want. So we help them get everything in order when it's most important. And we have an 800 number that's great. You can call them and they can help you with anything. They're licensed social workers. Any kind of questions you might have. Maybe you are having a hard time getting your loved one in the bathtub, or maybe you need to know what educational programs about Alzheimer's is going on here in your community. You can contact that number. Any kind of questions you might have, we have an answer for you at the Alzheimer's Association.
And I know Penn has provided some graphics for us, Lizzy, as you were speaking, for some phone numbers and places to reach out and stuff. You know, before the interview started, I just kind of shared some statistics. 1 in 3 seniors will die with Alzheimer's, and every 66 seconds someone develops Alzheimer's. Your role as communications coordinator for Western Oklahoma, tell us a little bit about what would be a normal day for Lizzy?
Oh, a normal-
Because you got the western part of the state.
Oh, I drive everywhere. So I go into churches, I go into hospitals. I let them know that we are the Alzheimer's Association. Everything we offer is free. We are for the caregivers. So we our main goal is to help the caregivers. And I also go into physician offices, and I ask them to refer their patients to the Alzheimer's Association, because once someone's diagnosed, their caregivers are lost. There's no way to prevent, slow, or cure Alzheimer's, and they're kind of like, well, what do I do now? So we ask that the physicians refer their patients to us, and we contact them, and we let them know that we're here,
Okay.
we're free to help you. So that's the day I just pick a town, I go to that town, and I decide if I want to do churches, if I want to do hospitals that day. Sometimes I do both, and I just let them know we're here, we're free, and we want to help you.
Anything else on your mind, Sarah? It's just,
no.
it's just
It's just-
amazing when you think you know about Alzheimer's, then you share these numbers. It's pretty impressive.
Yes, it is.
Earlier this morning, you mentioned that November is the official, or was it the awareness or something?
Alzheimer's Awareness Month.
Okay. So what goes on in November that we could get involved in?
Oh, well, at the association, we always have great presentations going on that we can do in your community.
Because we had a walk here recently.
Yes, we
Raised
did.
$50,000, I think you said, or
Our
something?
goal was $50,000, and we surpassed that goal, so we're really proud and happy.
Very good.
Yes, Enid, you did great. We appreciate that. So it was fun.
Okay.
Great walk.
Anything else that we missed? I know this has been a quick 10 or so minutes, Lizzy, but what, if you had an opportunity to speak to the folks at home, drinking coffee, watching you this morning, what would you say to them about Alzheimer's that we haven't covered?
That it's important for you to live in their reality. You, if they think that you are their daughter and you're their wife, you have to act like you're their daughter, because you can't change their mind. They're not going to. You're never going to win. You're never going to win the argument. You're never going to win. You're never going to change their mind. And we always tell people that it's the disease. That's not your mom. It's the disease. So it's important to remember that they don't know what they're doing, and it's Alzheimer's, and it's important to remember that.
Very, very good advice. Lizzy Orf is our special guest at the round table this morning. She is the Communications Outreach Coordinator for Western Oklahoma with Alzheimer's. And Lizzy, thanks for being here at dark 30 in the morning to join us.
Thank you
so
for having
much.
me.